Well, unfortunately, it's not going to be a lecture. It's going to be 100% about you. So when Joe asked you to please, your faces, you're like, oh no. When Joe asked you to turn off the phone, I really do want to challenge you to turn off your phone and not look at it for 2 hours. How many people in here think you can actually do that? Sweet. I walked into Intel once. There are 80 engineers. All their laptops were up. And Terry Nevsky, who runs Jones Farms, was talking and running this meeting. And I was watching them, and none of them were paying attention. Right? Have you seen that before? Yeah. Have you ever done that before? Sometimes? So I just looked at him and I said, well, can we put the laptop down? He's like, that's not what we do at Intel. And I said, well, let's just try it at Intel just once. So we put it down. They're like, that actually worked. So I'm going to ask you, because this is just going to be a total investment in you. And before we get started, I want to know how many people believe that you can be a little bit better with your communication in here? Okay, fantastic. We're going to get started. Underneath your chair, there is a little teeny card and a pen. Please grab it. On the top of your card, I want you to please write intentional. Please write intentional. If you don't know how to spell that, please copy the person next to you. Please write intentional on the top of your card. And I want you to be honest with yourself. I want you to think, what percentage are you really intentional on how you communicate? Okay, so intentional communication. Now this whole session is going to be both professional and in your personal life. Because the way that you communicate in your personal life is going to carry over into your professional life. So in the center of this wheel, I want you to draw the number 5. Please draw the number 5. And on the outside, I'd like you to please draw the number 10. Please write the number 10, so it looks like that. So just a 5 and a 10. And again, please be honest with yourself. Now we're starting with a 5 instead of a 0. Why are we going to start with a 5?
Because it's halfway between.
You would not be zeros. You would not work for Trident, right? So I'm giving you the benefit of at least a 5. So the first area I want you to please rank yourself is how much do you actually research a particular client or situation or meeting before you go into it? So on a scale from 5 to 10, please tell me what you are currently doing, and then please draw a dot where you actually would be. And then I need one example. Who believes that you do this well? Before you go into perhaps a new prospect, or maybe even a current client, what type of research are you doing before you go in there? Yes?
I usually eat there and talk to the servers.
Good. So by talking to the servers, what do you learn?
Either good or bad problems.
Learn about their culture.
Good. So maybe what's selling, what's not selling. I ran into someone the other day and I told them I was going to come train for you, and they said, we love your salmon burgers at Fred Meyer. Right? Aren't they at Fred Meyer? They sell them somewhere. Like, we love your salmon burgers. I'm like, great. So that would be one way to actually ask the end user. What else do you do? Someone over here said something. What else do you do for research? Yes? Good. Good. So for you personally, yes. Oh no, one more.
I get their credit checks.
That's good.
More research for me.
Exactly, because you do not want to waste your time with those prospects who can't pay for it, correct? That's smart. Thank you.
I go into technomics and I do some research on them as far as some of the products they've launched or the many items that they've launched. You can see the venue, you can see who their CEO is, who the marketing person is, etc.
Good. So when you go into that situation, you sound credible and also smart, correct? What if, well, okay. All right, maybe that's pushing it. Credible, all right?
Press releases and annual reports too.
Good. Yeah, so looking that up. Does anyone, yes?
I usually get told the nuances of that person's personality.
Out.
Anyway, so
You stop it.
You what?
I'm thinking about people. I deal with people, the same people over and over again. So I'm trying to get to know them.
Good. Good. And so you remember what they actually do, and you remember even their kids' names, like my introduction here, which was very nice.
I'm in food service, so we go to the website so we see where they're located, how many locations they have, and also we can see their menu, see what fish items they have on there.
Good. Good. So going into your research before, one last idea, yes?
If it's someone you hadn't met before, LinkedIn, so you can kind of see if they have a picture or where they come from, that type of thing.
Good. How many people in here would be excited if I looked at your LinkedIn profile?
Excited?
Okay, this side of the room, yes. decided how? Like, what makes a LinkedIn profile actually worth looking at? Thank you. So the photo is current and actually represents what you want to be represented as. What else?
Endorsements.
It's current. It's updated. Good. It's updated. What else?
Bio.
Excuse me?
Bio.
Good. So the bio is actually current. It tells you who they are. So what happens if you are making a new sales call? Most of the time, actually Joe even did this with me, he looked at my Facebook site and looked at a couple of different things with my company. Same thing with LinkedIn. So I'm always surprised how many people don't actually spice up your LinkedIn. And if you put interests there's a place where you put your interests below, what happens when you start to find out what people are interested in?
Conversation.
Good. And when we look at people sometimes, you look them up and down and we say we like you or we don't, right? Unfortunately, as humans. And then we start to find out things about people. I've been speaking, actually I've been on the road every single week since September, and I've been meeting thousands of people, and I always love to find out people's stories. This one woman, she looked very, very, not prissy, but like just very conservative. She loves to get dirty and ride motorcycles. I'm like, that is so cool. But I wouldn't have known that had I not talked to her. So right now, please rate yourself on a scale from 5 to 10 for your research, but also be thinking about your own LinkedIn and how you're utilizing other people's LinkedIns. All right, the next area is how do you actually open and close? Either it could be a meeting that you're running internally with your team, or it could be with a prospect. So what are some ways that you can open and close that would keep people's attention? Give me an example.
Provide some structure. Here's what we're here to do.
Thank you.
Here's what we did.
Good. So you can actually have an agenda. The whole outcome, once we leave this meeting, will be this. What else? What do you do that keeps people's attention? Yes?
Well, after the meeting, I usually will, if it's just like a conference call, summarize what we talked about and next steps.
Mm-hmm. Good. So thank you for your time, and here's the action step we actually want you to take. This side of the room, give me one example, an open or close that people remember. Yes?
Candy bars on the front seat.
I like that. So will you please just hold that up so enough people in the back saw that? Yeah, so you score if you sit in the front row, right? All right, yes.
I would start with like small talk and some bonding rather than just getting ready to.
Thank you. If people do not like us, they don't want to do business with us, right? So you have to actually build that rapport. So opening and close is a very important piece of any presentation. When I say presentation, I'm not talking about speaking in front of hundreds of people. I'm speaking about one-on-one or any situation that you're in. But no, what's a statistic that TriDeck uses that would wow some of your clients? Wow, that's a good one.
It would wow our
Yeah.
It would number one CPU processor or something like that.
Okay, definitely. What else? Yes?
I think Chuck's story, I mean, that's what we read every day.
Exactly. Yeah, we've been in business for 40 years. We built this business on integrity, on honesty, on really feeling it's a family. What else? Yes.
Vertical integration.
Okay, how so?
From the boat to the throat.
Good. So be thinking about how you're currently opening and closing. This is also not just verbally, but how you open and closing emails. Most people do not take a lot of time to read emails anymore. Do you agree with me?
I agree.
Yeah. So I was coached to only keep it about 6 lines because people don't read it after that. So how are you opening and closing some of your emails? Please go ahead and rate yourself. When I say rate yourself, you are just drawing a dot right here wherever it might be on the scale from 5 to 10, right? So just write it out. All right, next to body language. Please draw the number 55. So expect the number 55 next to body language. And then this is going to be, you're going to have to get up and stand up and do a lot of stuff, so please stand. Don't hit your person next to you, but I want you to take your arms and please hold them out like this. So somehow, very nice, but you're not hitting anyone. Thank you. Please let your arms fall when they actually want to. Thank you very much. So this is the most confident way to stand, right? So no one's arms fell like this, right? Crossing your arms. Please be seated just so you can see this wonderful demonstration. If you see people walking around like this, what does that say to you? Yeah. Oh yeah, people are like, well, Allison, it'll get really cold. And I said, then please go get a sweater. Because if you're walking around like this, especially if you've never met the person and your face is not smiling, they're going to think that you don't like them, unfortunately. If you have your hands like this, what does this say? I'm not kidding. People stand like this. They do. Yes, and if you do need to use the restroom, it's down the hall to the right. But this people do stand like this, and unless you're a professional soccer player, we suggest that you don't. With your hands behind your back, what does that say?
Authority?
Yeah, so it's military, and people, they actually used to hide your weapons behind your back. So studies show that people want to see the palms of our hands. Now, if you walk around into a new meeting or a client and you're like, hey, they might think you're a little bit crazy, so I don't recommend that. But I do recommend that you relax your hands, because also then your upper body can come to life, because body language is 55% of our communication. Please take your fingers and just squeeze them as hard as you can, like this, please. Thank you. And then just put it right on your chin. Thank you. Oh. Anyway, see what I mean? Yeah, 55%. So we feed off each other's body language. Most of the time I fly Southwest Airlines. How many people here like Southwest Airlines? Some of you. But okay, I love it because the people are so friendly. I'm laughing most of the time when I fly there. I had to fly an airline that started with an F. I'm not going to name what it was. But I was flying on it, and this guy looked like something was so wrong with his body language. And the whole time I'm thinking, like, he's sucking it out of me. Have you been around people like that? Yeah, please do not be a person like that. So on a scale from 5 to 10, how well do you actually use your body language? A lot of people think they smile, and they don't, right? And then you walk by people and you're like, what's wrong? Like, nothing. Like, what's all your face? Because your face says something's wrong. So please rate yourself. Next is your tone of voice. Tone of voice is 38% of our communication. I was coaching a woman at Nike 2 weeks ago, and I said, let's call your voicemail. She's like, okay. So I called her voicemail. She's like, that woman sounds like a not very nice person. And I said, I know that. So tone of voice is huge. So in here, if I were to call your voicemails, how many people would be really excited about what your clients and other team members hear? How many people here love your voicemail? Okay, 3 of you. 5 of you. I also put bring back music on my phone. And it's funny because I play Allison. Allison. People are like, that's so weird. Allison was playing when I called. I'm like, I know. It is weird. But so they're just like, and it's kind of fun. They're like, the song is not very positive, but it's Allison. So, and I play Christmas music, whatever it is. But think about the first impression. Remember, we have 7 seconds to make that first impression when people see us, but also when they pick up the phone. So what does your voicemail sound like? Tone of voice is 38%. I want you to also keep in mind, not just if you're a monotone person, but also what are your recordings sounding like. When you leave a message, people save my messages sometimes. They're like, Allison, that message was so great. I'm like, really? And they keep playing it back. Have you ever saved a message from anyone? Yeah, I've saved one from Intel, and it just was a thank you, and I'm like, this one time, they said I was good. You keep playing it back. So people save that. So rate yourself on your tone of voice. What do you actually do with your tone? Results. You can't.
Okay, well mine was open and closed for communication. A lot of you know I'm a very verbal person. So in my emails, I like to bullet point, but I also kind of like to type everything out word for word. So Jeff's suggestion was read the email back to yourself before you send it, or attach something, use your bullet point and say, hey, this is what I want to talk to you about. Can I call and discuss this with you? Rather than typing out in paragraph form and losing their attention after 6 sentences.
I love it. Okay, it's not that it was bad, but we're only going to clap once. 1, 2, 3, go. We call that a half round. Okay, thank you. All right. And what's your idea?
All right,
Okay.
My idea was to work on my words. I can be a little bit high energy, a little spastic, and throw some stuff out there. So, working on getting the message out a little bit clearer, a little bit slower.
Love it.
And a little bit with a little more. Joe is marriage. Joe, what's the word you like? A little with a little more decorum. Those are the things I'm looking for.
And I'm sorry, what's your first name?
Jamie.
Jamie.
Like your daughter.
I can remember that. And what I like that you said, so tone of voice 38%, but it's also the speed in which you speak. So I love that, because a lot of people are fast talkers, and so really to put that pause and to slow down will make people connect with you better. Good, thank you very much. Half round, 1, 2, 3, go. Thank you. Now I want to see, but please rate yourself on your personal appearance and also your attitude. We have resources in the back. There's a stylist in town named Scarlett Chamberlain, who's brilliant at figuring out. She goes through your entire closet, gets rid of what does not work for you, then will bring you shopping, and then she puts all your outfits together. So I send her out to a lot of my clients because it's very powerful, and I believe everyone should do that. She actually just said on Sunday when I went to a workshop that men are bigger hoarders than women with their clothes.
I believe it.
All right, so now you have rated yourself. Please go ahead and connect all your dots. Connect all your dots. Connect your dots. And then please look at the person next to you. And then if that was a wheel, would you ever want to ride in their car? Anyone with you there? That looks like a spaceship, but that's cool.
It's a constellation.
All right, so pretty. I've never met anyone who is completely round. But when you look at this and be thinking about your own presentations, if you were to focus more effectively on one area, please write your top area that you want to focus on.